and you wait.
And it still moves once the boat enters the scene. Now I do want to mention that if you haven't ridden this for yourself, don't judge it entirely based on this footage. It's difficult to film these dark rides as they accurately look, and because of that, what looks like this on video actually looks like this in person. The next scene is the train station, as Harold hops on the side of the camp for the night, and he's being tormented by a skunk who continuously moves the clothesline up and down. Now, they did something with this scene that I really like. In the Haunted Hideaway, this scene was part of one large showroom that the boats would pass through twice, so you'd see the same scene from two sides.
Wow, you're both distracted.
Coasters along with an aero looper prior to Premier's acquisition of the park in 1995, and then they put in the Boomerang and the SLC in the years leading up to 2000. For a long time, roller coasters were pretty basic. The car sat on top of the track. Eventually, these cars would go upside down, but it wasn't until 1981 that we saw the first modern attempts at a suspended coaster. In 1992 that we saw a coaster hanging under the track or upside down.
I hope you guys really enjoy it. It's going to be fairly comprehensive. It's going to be looking at a pretty, it's a subject that's been covered before. But
So yeah, it's nothing too big, nothing fancy, just a radio station building. And there's the antenna for it. Nice.
In fact, as it gets dark and the lights in Area 72 come on, they all seem to have a blue tint to them, playing along with Orion's color scheme. Because the park was only operating from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. during my first visit in mid-July, that's clearly not late enough to experience all the night atmosphere Orion has to offer, which is a true shame for those who missed that opportunity. Well, the park is now staying open later and will be operating through October, so there is plenty to be on the same level as Diamondback, but I'd argue that the Speed Hill delivers some of the strongest ejector airtime I've experienced on a D&M coaster. So, does this change my original score in the ride intensity category? No, I still think an 8.5 is a fair score. The airtime is definitely more common rides in a day, which is how I believe this ride was intended to be experienced. Before I wrap up this video, let me reiterate a few points. One, check out Orion at night, possibly snagging a night ride if you can. Number two,
returning tires. Both are absolutely phenomenal, but in the end, Legend earned the higher placement. However, Raven and Legend are directly back to back in my top 10, which really goes to show how they stand up incredibly well on their own. What do you think about these two rides? Do you praise them like me or hate them? Which do you find better?
And I was glad to see you come back.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Everything has changed quite a lot over the years, I'm sure. For example, stuff like operating with 3 different spots. We do a lot of fun things that, add all memories. All right.
So I'm going to go back to the same trip that Sean and Dan and I were on in Japan. And you guys know Demon Drop with Tony Park, right? Okay. So they have the same ride at this park called Commanding Central Park. And they have a unique experience that you can have on this, where you can ride with a bucket of water, which is a little weird.
Theory is a little strange because the outcome solely depends on the success of the Velocicoaster. If it fails, maybe the park would choose something else. But if it's a win, then maybe we can see another. let's get right up close with Epic Universe and take a look at one specific coaster.
I did
Here
not
in the
see that
bottom
fire
right corner
truck.
of the concept art, you can see a
So after I
dueling
pass the
coaster
intersection-
of some sort. At first
Oh my
glance,
gosh,
this
I am
looks
so
to be
sorry.
something along the lines of a Premier Rides multi-launch,
I
something
am
like
an idiot.
West Coast Racers.
Should have stopped.
But here's why I think it might be a placeholder. If you look at the color scheme to this coaster,
Hopefully
it is
don't do
the
that ever
exact
again.
same as a West Coast race. Just a theory. So let me know what you think down below. If you've made it this far in the video and are not already subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below for more theories just like this. I'm Zach from Theme Park Media signing off, and I will catch you in the...
Okay.
I think it's an absolutely brilliant move, so this is what we have to work with. Stunt Pilot will be 113 feet tall,
Little
which
too
is a
close there,
little
buddy.
odd because on the teaser it says over 105, each of them with 10 cars, 10 riders per train, not 8. So if you thought the back row on Wonder Woman or Railblazer was absolutely insane, Stunt Pilot will feel crazier. I don't think you'll really notice that change up front, but in the back, that whip is going to be ridiculous.
Still a little ways away. Go ahead and get over. Can you get over? Alright, cool. There's a discount tire back there. Alright. It's kind of slow.
broke down right away. So we left the queue, went across the path, and rode Fire in the Hole, the indoor dark ride coaster. That had a solid 25-minute wait because of their distancing rules, but it did have 2 trains. I rode this in 2018. By far the biggest surprise of the trip. My 2 rides in 2018 were good, but I didn't think much of it.
That was a red light?
It was ranked just outside my top 100. This time, this ride's so much more enjoyable. But Lightning Rod has the same problem. So it makes me think
going
that these
now.
RMC Woodies have this problem after a few years. We were in
Why'd you
line for
honk
the
at
giant
me?
barn swing when the ride shut down.
The world's greatest economy
Is that
is
even
coming
necessary?
back. But Joe Biden
a
could
man.
wreck it.
I would shut it down.
And I love it. A dinosaur theme alone is very intimidating. But what's even more intimidating is the layout and the genuinely screwed up elements it offers. Of course, those following the ridiculously fast construction of this coaster will know that it will have 4 inversions.
Why is your right turn signal on when you're turning left? I kind of felt like these 2 cars might have been blocking the intersection for a little bit.
It's going to look really cool, so it's better to save the best for last since everyone's just going to be
What's going on
excited for
here?
the layout to actually begin on this coaster. So even though the first show scene will probably only be screens, it's still going to be a great scene that'll really get you pumped up for the ride. After that shot, we then get another angle of the train, this time from the bottom, and then after that we get to see the new restraints for this
Not too
coaster.
sure what's happening
So
over there.
these
Hopefully
are
everyone's
actually
alright.
the new Intamin lap bars that do come down over your shoulder. These
the hell is this? Hey, choo-choo! Thunder Run?
I'm so confused.
Okay.
In 2020. They are in the process of introducing their newer models like the Energy Storm, Shockwave, and Top Gun models for the 2021 season. But one thing we are finally seeing from Vekoma is that they are taking
miles of coaster track that makes up the best skyline in the game. 6 machines that surpass the 200-foot mark, and if we zoom in, you'll find the world's first Hyper, Giga, and Strata coaster in just a single frame. It's considered the roller coaster. The park was in need of another coaster to add to its lineup.
That driver was
and the
distracted.
Aero suspended model seemed like a perfect fit. The design was
minivan
fairly
had
new
to
to
honk
the world
at the,
and only
Honda
a few
Accord
had been
driver.
built.
So when you adjust the climate down, I'm not really sure if you can see it, but the ambient lighting does light up blue and then in red when you adjust it back up.
Wow. A cop just turned white without signaling. Great job, buddy.
Very cool feature. You can also adjust.
It has tons of airtime, speed, crazy turns, and a bonus, killer ride capacity. The first drop is the best first drop on any roller coaster, period. El Toro also manages to deliver some of the strongest sustained airtime you'll ever experience on a coaster, Thunderbird, at Holiday World. This is the only launching wing coaster on the planet. I'm combining 2 categories with the inversions and launch. Maverick and Thunderbird focus on different elements, so I think this would work well in my park. Thunderbird has more inversions, which is why...
What's about to happen with this park?
Anyways, oh man, it's really exciting. Like even the people that work at the park are super excited. It's just this might be checkmate for the coaster community.
It only has the great elements and the wicked maneuvers, but it has such a long duration, and that's what really does it for me with that coaster, is that you have so many elements packed into one ride. So Steel Vengeance, which, by the way, has not lost a single tournament that it's participated in, I have a feeling it's going to win.
The whole vertical drop novelty may not be so impressive. This would have made a lot more sense several years ago, but not so much now. So far, I've introduced a lot of ideas. Jungle Trailblazers in China. This one in Xiamen. Again, sorry if I butchered that. There are 7 of these. Some are the same and some aren't, so I'll do my best to run through them without losing the audience and driving everyone crazy. This one stands up.
Did a quick transition into a 100-foot zero-G stall element, which to me will be one of the coolest parts of this ride. With great speed, the ride hits the quote-unquote oscillating helix, which will include a wave turn right into an Outer Bank airtime hill, sending
a ride you're going to be getting throughout the rest of this layout. You begin up your first chain, and I actually don't know the height of this one. If I had to take a guess, it's probably around 40 or 50 feet max in height, but if anyone knows, overwhelming, and Twister really just kind of exceeded my expectations. But hopefully I didn't just set your expectations too high by saying how much I think this ride is just like really cool, because it would be a shame if someone...
Sorry. Thank you. Forgot they didn't have a stop sign. Should have looked better. Jeez, oh man.
You know, he broke through the ice, and I was so proud of him as well. And he came home, and he's like, "It's the day that changed my life. It's the day that changed my life." Even now, to this day, he talks about that day. He knows the very date that it was. He has it memorized, the day that changed his life.
Yeah.
So it was a joyous occasion, that's for sure.
Yes.
So explain how your life has changed ever since you started.
I've already been retracked, mysteriously being what looks like retracked as well. Normally, and by the way, I have
airtime, even though it does hit that 70-degree angle, the drop does straighten out, and naturally when you sit in the back, I mean, you will get pulled down. I still didn't feel like this drop had anywhere close to the best airtime on the ride. Oftentimes the first drop is known for kicking you up out of your seat. Balder pretty much does that during the rest of the layout, which is made up of one or two.
Left, right here. Hold up, there's some cars coming. That goes down, right? Oh, wait. And remember, after this, I'm going to stop at the beach. Are you turning? Let me go. You let me go? Looks like you might be letting me go. Oh, you're letting him cross the street. Hold on, I'm confused. What's going on? Let me go. Sorry. Didn't see you there. That was just a very confusing situation overall, so can you really blame me? Alright. Hang on. Can't really tell. Oh yeah, wait, light screen. Okay, we're good.
It's a coaster that I definitely am going to add to my European bucket list. It's not technically a hypercoaster because it's only 164 feet tall, but this ride is going to sort of behave like a hypercoaster. It's going to focus on big drops in airtime and high speeds. There's really not going to be a focus on inversions or anything like that. But the elements in this video, so just shout out to you guys, but if you haven't, go ahead and check us out, subscribe. As I always say, we are the destination for the latest theme park news, rumors, countdowns, and content.
I just ran a red light. I think. And I just honked at him. He should have honked at me. I'll view the footage. Jeez, oh man. Headlights.
Categories that we've seen many times over and over. Great Coasters International is already working on their own steel topper track that is sure to challenge the hybrid classification. Instead of focusing on records a roller coaster can break and making that the primary classification for success,
trip was Twister, a coaster that I really hadn't heard too much about leading up to my visit. The history of Twister actually goes back to 1965 with Mr. Twister at Elitch Gardens in Colorado. This was a wooden coaster designed by John C. Allen that operated at Elitch Gardens until the park was relocated in 1994. While Elitch Gardens chose to construct a sequel to the coaster with Twister 2,
as far as I'd like before leaving the station. But once we hit that first dose of positive G's, the restraints cranked down tight, almost sucking the air out of my lungs. This time around, I prepared for this and kept forcing against the restraints during the entire ride, preventing them from getting tighter. This seemed to work, but if you have to fight the coaster to get a better experience, I think that's